The galaxy had always thought Earth was small, weak, and insignificant. For centuries, countless civilizations had expanded through the stars, building empires, conquering planets, and enslaving weaker races. And in their arrogance, they had never bothered to notice the quiet blue planet tucked away in an unassuming corner of the Milky Way. On Earth, life went on as usual. Children laughed in playgrounds, farmers tended their fields, and cities thrummed with the steady rhythm of human activity. Scientists studied distant stars, unaware that some of those stars hid eyes watching them. Military officers ran drills, checking weapons and spaceships, never knowing that the very drills they practiced might soon become real. To Earth's people, life was ordinary, peaceful, and ordinary was enough. But the galaxy's arrogance was about to collide with a force it had never imagined. Without warning, alarms erupted in space stations orbiting the planet. Red lights flashed across the consoles, and the deep hum of engines was replaced with the sharp crackle of incoming signals. Aliens, sleek and merciless, had appeared in Earth's orbit. Their warships were larger, faster, and more numerous than anything humanity had ever seen. They moved with deadly precision, targeting communications arrays and satellites that kept the planet connected. On the ground, people looked up at the sky, expecting a shooting star or a strange comet. Instead, they saw explosions. The first human cities were shaken, not by natural disasters, but by weapons designed to terrify and destroy. Fires spread across distant skyscrapers, and the once bright atmosphere around Earth's orbit was painted with streaks of fire and smoke. Panic surged through the population, a wave of fear that seemed unstoppable. Commander Ilara stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station, her eyes scanning the view screens with intensity. She was calm, but inside a storm of emotions raged. Anger, fear, determination, and grief all fought for dominance, yet she knew one truth: humanity would not surrender. "They think we are weak," she whispered to no one in particular. "They think they can take what they want. They are wrong." As she watched the alien fleet approach, memories of the countless warnings from scientists and strategists echoed in her mind. They had always said Earth was too primitive to defend itself, that humanity would never survive against true galactic powers. And yet in this moment, she felt the fire of human determination grow stronger than any fear. Every ship in orbit, every soldier ready for battle, every citizen willing to fight became a part of something greater, something the galaxy had never seen before. The aliens, confident in their success, did not understand that Earth had been watching them too. For years, humans had studied space anomalies, monitoring strange fleets and unknown technology. The galaxy assumed those efforts were primitive and meaningless, but in truth humanity had learned, adapted, and grown stronger in ways no one expected. Even as the first volleys of alien fire struck the outer defenses, humans did not break. Missiles launched from hidden silos and defensive turrets flared with energy, intercepting some of the incoming strikes. It was not enough to stop the attack entirely, but it was enough to send a clear message. Earth would fight back, and fight back fiercely. Civilians on the ground ran for shelter, eyes wide with terror, yet even in fear some showed courage. Volunteers guided the wounded. Firefighters rushed into burning buildings, and emergency crews worked tirelessly to protect lives. Humanity's instinct to survive, to protect one another, was awakening in full force. Ilara clenched her fists as she watched another alien ship falter under Earth's counterattack. She knew the fight had only just begun, but she also knew something important. The galaxy had assumed this battle would be easy, that no one would notice, that no one would care. But Earth had noticed. Earth had always noticed. And soon the galaxy would learn a lesson it would never forget. The first sparks of war had ignited, and with them, the silent, unyielding force of human resolve. Humanity was no longer a quiet, hidden world. It was awake, and the wrath it carried was only beginning to stir. The first shock waves of the alien attack had barely settled when humanity's real strength began to show. Across Earth, people refused to crumble under fear. Soldiers, engineers, and scientists sprang into action, driven by something older and stronger than technology or weapons: pure determination. The galaxy had expected panic, surrender, or chaos. Instead, it found resistance, fierce and unyielding. In orbit, the Earth Defense Fleet activated in full. Ships, some centuries old but retrofitted with human ingenuity, launched from hidden hangars and orbiting stations. Pilots gripped their controls tightly, their faces pale but determined. Every crew member knew the odds were against them, yet no one hesitated. Their mission was clear: defend the planet no matter the cost. Captain Joran led a squadron through a battlefield littered with debris from destroyed satellites and alien drones. He had studied every tactic the invaders might use, yet nothing could prepare him for the sight of a fleet larger and more advanced than any human ship. Still, he held his head high. "We fight," he said, voice firm and steady, "because we must. Not because they are stronger, but because we will not let them take what is ours." On the ground, civilians became unsung heroes. Medical teams worked through collapsing hospitals. Firefighters battled infernos that licked the skies, and ordinary citizens guided children and the elderly to safety. In small towns and great cities, humans displayed courage that no alien mind could have calculated. The invaders believed technology alone would win the war, but they had forgotten the most powerful weapon in the universe: humanity itself. Experimental weapons were unleashed. Scientists fired energy pulses, magnetic disruptors, and guided missiles, each strike designed with precision and creativity. Simple ships, too small to intimidate, darted between alien cruisers and launched attacks from unexpected angles. Humanity did not have the largest fleet, but it had ingenuity, teamwork, and an unshakable will. And in war, sometimes that mattered more than numbers. The aliens were confident at first. They had crushed countless worlds before, enslaved weaker civilizations, and never met resistance like this. They laughed at Earth's defenses, expecting surrender within days. But their confidence turned to confusion as Earth's ships countered every strike. Communications that should have been destroyed were re-established, giving humans the advantage of coordination. In the midst of battle, Commander Ilara moved from station to station, offering guidance, encouragement, and strategy. Her voice carried across the fleet. "Hold your positions. Protect the planet. Show them what humanity truly is." Even over damaged systems and static-filled transmissions, her words inspired every human fighting in space and on the ground. Some alien warships faltered under the unexpected resistance. Explosions erupted in the void as human ingenuity turned old cargo ships into decoy drones, luring enemy vessels into traps. Every success, small or large, was celebrated, not with pride alone, but with the fierce joy of survival. Humanity was learning the rhythm of this war, and it was faster, sharper, and more relentless than anyone expected. Yet the cost was visible everywhere. Cities burned, satellites exploded, and thousands of lives were lost in the first days of conflict. Still, humans did not surrender. In every ruined street and every shattered building, someone helped another. In every space station and orbiting ship, a crew member risked everything to save their comrades. Humanity's strength was measured not in destruction but in courage. As night fell across the planet, Earth glowed with the fires of battle. Yet beneath that glow, something extraordinary stirred. Humans were awakening, not as individuals but as a united force. The galaxy had assumed Earth would beg for mercy, that its people would panic and scatter. They had been wrong. Humanity was alive, alert, and fierce, and the first seeds of wrath had been planted. Commander Ilara looked at the stars, watching the alien fleet hesitate under Earth's counterattacks. She smiled faintly, her eyes reflecting both pain and hope. "They are beginning to understand," she whispered. "They are beginning to see that underestimating us was their first mistake." And far across the galaxy, civilizations that had once dismissed Earth now watched closely, sensing a force they could neither predict nor control. Humanity was awake, humanity was fighting, and humanity was about to show the galaxy what true wrath looked like. The battle had raged for weeks, yet Earth did not falter. Each day brought new challenges: alien cruisers striking with deadly precision, orbital defenses being tested to their limits, and cities suffering from bombardment. Yet, for every attack the invaders launched, humanity responded with ingenuity, courage, and unbreakable will. The galaxy had assumed Earth would fall quietly. They were about to learn the truth. Captain Joran piloted his squadron through the debris of destroyed alien ships. Sparks flew across the void as twisted metal tumbled silently. His hands gripped the controls tightly, knuckles white, and his eyes were sharp with determination. "We've held them back for weeks," he told his crew. "They thought Earth would surrender, but every strike we take only makes us stronger." Every challenge we face reminds them that they underestimated humanity. Back on the planet, civilians had adapted to the new reality. Underground shelters hummed with activity as families worked together to ration supplies, care for the wounded, and maintain communication networks. Volunteers repaired damaged infrastructure and delivered food, water, and medicine to those who could not move. Fear existed, yes, but courage had become stronger. People no longer waited for heroes. They became heroes themselves. Humanity's counterattacks were no longer defensive. They were strategic, precise, and relentless. Small fighter ships darted between alien cruisers, luring them into ambushes where Earth's orbital weapons waited. Mines were hidden in asteroid belts, ready to tear apart unsuspecting vessels. Engineers hacked alien communications, creating chaos in their ranks. Each victory was small, yet together they began to shift the tide of war. In orbit, Commander Alara coordinated every movement, her mind sharp and unyielding. "Focus on their command ship," she ordered, pointing at the massive alien flagship that had so far evaded attacks. "Disable it and their fleet will crumble. Show them that we are not a planet to be toyed with." Her words were carried across transmissions to every pilot, every ship, and every station. Even those on the ground felt her presence, her calm and strength inspiring them to keep fighting. The aliens were growing uneasy. Their confidence, once absolute, had begun to fracture. They had expected a simple conquest, a planet that would bow to superior technology. Instead, they found a force that adapted, survived, and struck back. Each failure they suffered was met with human resolve, and the realization that Earth's people would not be broken spread unease among their ranks. Captain Joran's squadron engaged a small alien fleet near the asteroid belt. Explosions painted the void with light and fire. His co-pilot Mira shouted over the comms, "They're stronger than we expected." Joran shook his head. "No, Mira, they're not stronger. We are stronger because we refuse to surrender." His words were more than encouragement. They were a promise. On Earth, families watched the skies, feeling the tension and fear of war, yet also a strange pride. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this, and yet it endured. News transmissions shared stories of heroism, soldiers sacrificing themselves to save civilians, engineers working non-stop to repair critical systems, and ordinary people performing extraordinary acts. Each story became a spark, lighting the flames of courage across the planet. By the end of the week, alien losses mounted. Their flagship had been disabled by a clever trap, throwing the fleet into confusion. Smaller ships were destroyed or captured, and their coordinated attacks faltered. Humans had turned the tide not by overwhelming force, but by courage, strategy, and relentless determination. Commander Alara watched the results on her screens, eyes shining with pride. "They thought they could intimidate us," she said quietly, almost to herself. "Now they are beginning to fear us." Across the galaxy, whispers began to spread. The small blue planet that no one had taken seriously was no longer defenseless. It had awakened. And the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. The battle was far from over, but for the first time, Earth had moved from defense to offense. Humanity was no longer the hunted, it was the predator. And the aliens would soon learn that underestimating Earth had been the greatest mistake of their existence. The battle had become more than a fight for survival. It had become a test of humanity's spirit. Across Earth, cities bore the scars of war. Skyscrapers were damaged, bridges had collapsed, and smoke rose endlessly from burning districts. Yet, even amid destruction, humans did not yield. Every ruin held a story of courage. Every crumbling street echoed with resilience. Commander Alara moved through the war rooms and space stations, her presence a calm center amid chaos. She watched young soldiers monitor incoming fleets and older engineers adjust failing weapons systems. Each person carried exhaustion in their eyes, yet no one faltered. Humans were not only surviving, they were thriving under pressure. They fought not because they had to, but because they would not allow fear to define them. On the streets, ordinary people became extraordinary. Children huddled in basements drew pictures of spaceships and heroes, reminding themselves that hope still lived. Firefighters carried civilians from collapsed buildings, ignoring the flames and smoke. Volunteers formed human chains to bring food and medicine to shelters. Fear was present, yes, but it was tempered with courage, pride, and unshakable determination. Captain Joran led a daring mission to disable a supply line feeding the alien forces. His small squadron darted between the enemy cruisers, avoiding detection and striking with precision. Explosions erupted silently in the void as alien cargo ships were destroyed. Joran's voice came through the comms, calm yet resolute. For every city they burn, for every life they take, they will pay. His words carried more than anger. They carried the promise of humanity's wrath. Back on Earth, civilians watched the skies, terrified yet hopeful. Families gathered in shelters, listening to news of successful missions in orbit, feeling a small flame of pride amidst the fear. Teachers held lessons for children in underground schools, while volunteers repaired damaged communication systems to keep everyone informed. Humanity's strength was not only in weapons, but in unity. Each person who helped another, no matter how small the act, became a part of the resistance. The aliens, growing frustrated, could not understand how a planet they thought primitive could resist with such intelligence and coordination. Their strategies failed repeatedly as humans adapted faster than expected. Even when their fleets fired volleys of destruction, humans found ways to defend themselves, turning near defeat into victory with creativity and courage. Every loss for Earth was temporary. Every success was proof that the invaders had underestimated their enemy. Ilara watched as another alien strike was deflected by an ingenious human trap. She allowed herself a small smile. "They cannot break us," she whispered. "Even if they destroy our cities, even if they crush our fleets, they cannot destroy our will." Her words were carried across channels to every human fighting in orbit and on the ground, inspiring courage and resolve. In shelters, hospitals, and streets, stories of heroism spread like wildfire. A single act, an engineer sacrificing themselves to save a group of children, a pilot risking their life to shield a civilian transport, was enough to lift spirits and strengthen the hearts of many. Humanity's true weapon was clear: hope, courage, and the unbreakable human spirit. As the sun set on a war-torn city, Earth was quiet for a brief moment. Smoke still rose from distant fires, but the streets hummed with life, survival, and determination. Humans had learned that courage could thrive even in the darkest hour, that unity could turn despair into power, and that fear could be transformed into action. Commander Ilara looked at the stars and whispered, almost to herself, "They thought we would bow. They thought we would break. But they were wrong. Humanity will not just survive, they will fight, and in fighting they will rise." Across the galaxy, whispers began spreading among alien civilizations. The quiet blue planet they had dismissed was no longer a world to ignore. It had awakened. Its people had discovered the power of unity, resilience, and unshakable spirit. And soon the galaxy would see that underestimating humanity had been a grave mistake. The day of reckoning had finally arrived. For weeks, Earth had endured relentless attacks, yet humanity had survived, adapted, and grown stronger. Now the planet's true power was ready to be revealed. Every warship, every soldier, every human heart was aligned for one purpose: to show the galaxy the wrath of Earth. Commander Ilara stood on the bridge of the flagship Unity, her eyes sweeping across the assembled fleet. Warships of all sizes thrummed with energy, their weapon systems glowing, ready to strike. Pilots ran last-minute checks, mechanics tightened the final bolts, and soldiers gripped their consoles, faces pale but determined. Silence hung for a moment, heavy with anticipation. Then Ilara's voice rang out, steady and commanding. "For every life they threatened, for every city they burned, we strike as one. Let them feel the wrath they never imagined." Across the planet, humans watched the skies. From underground shelters to ruined cities, millions of eyes looked upward. Children clutched their parents' hands, knowing something extraordinary was about to happen. Civilians delivered supplies to soldiers, repaired communication systems, and guided the wounded to safety. Humanity was united, not by fear, but by courage, determination, and the unbreakable will to survive. The alien fleet had gathered in orbit, confident in its superiority. They had underestimated Earth's ingenuity, resilience, and spirit. But now the tables had turned. The first salvo of Earth's weapons lit up space. Energy pulses tore through alien cruisers, disabling shields and engines. Human ships darted between the explosions, striking with unmatched precision. Missiles guided by human pilots found their targets with uncanny accuracy, turning the invaders' confidence into panic. Captain Joran led his squadron in a daring assault. "For Earth," he shouted, weaving through enemy fire as his missiles detonated with calculated destruction. Each strike sent shockwaves through the alien fleet, and for the first time their command structures faltered. Chaos spread among their ranks as humans exploited every weakness with ruthless efficiency. On the ground, the people of Earth felt the surge of victory. Distant explosions in orbit created brilliant streaks of light across the sky. Citizens cheered, not for glory but for survival, for the lives saved, and for the defiance that had brought them this far. Volunteers delivered aid to hospitals, repaired critical infrastructure, and kept communications open. Every act of courage strengthened the resolve of the planet as a whole. The aliens tried to regroup, launching counterattacks and focusing on humanity's key targets. But it was too late. The coordinated efforts of Earth's fleet, combined with ground defenses and civilian ingenuity, proved unstoppable. Each attack was met with a precise counterstrike. Each assault was punished with devastating retaliation. Humanity's wrath had been unleashed, and nothing could stop it. Commander Alara's eyes shone with both fury and pride. "They thought they could intimidate us," she said softly, watching the alien flagship burn. "Now they will know what it means to face the people they sought to destroy." Ships that had been damaged in previous battles now struck again, piloted by crews who refused to quit. Engineers repaired critical systems in record time. Civilians on the surface guided emergency supplies to shelters, while soldiers on the ground kept strategic positions intact. Every human in every role contributed to the fury sweeping across the stars. By the end of the day, the alien fleet was shattered. Their cruisers floated lifeless in orbit. Command structures were destroyed, and remaining forces retreated in chaos. Earth stood victorious, bloodied but unbroken. Humanity had not fought for conquest, nor for glory. It had fought to survive, to protect its home, and to show the galaxy that underestimating Earth was a grave mistake. As night fell, Commander Alara looked out at the scarred planet and the remnants of the alien fleet. She whispered to herself, "They thought no one would notice. They thought we were weak. But they were wrong. Earth has risen, and our wrath will be remembered forever." Across the galaxy, whispers spread. The planet they had dismissed as insignificant had proven itself a force unlike any other. Humanity had awakened, and the galaxy would never forget the day Earth's wrath was unleashed. The battle was over, but the war's scars remained. Earth had survived, but the planet bore the marks of a conflict that had tested every human heart. Cities lay in ruins, smoke still curled from distant fires, and the cries of those mourning their lost loved ones filled the air. Humanity had won, but the cost had been immense. Commander Alara walked through the streets of a once thriving city, her boots crunching over broken glass and rubble. Buildings had collapsed, bridges were torn apart, and the roads were cracked and littered with debris. Yet among the ruins, life persisted. People helped each other, moving supplies, carrying the wounded, and comforting children who had seen more destruction than any human should. In their eyes, she saw a mix of grief, relief, and unwavering determination. Humanity had endured, and they would rebuild. Captain Joran returned from orbit to find his family waiting amidst the chaos. Tears welled in his eyes as he embraced them. "We did it," he whispered, voice breaking. "We survived." Around him, neighbors cleared debris together, repaired homes, and shared what little food remained. Every act, no matter how small, became a symbol of hope, a step toward recovery, and a reminder that humans never surrendered, even when the odds were impossible. Across the planet, hospitals were overwhelmed. Doctors and nurses worked tirelessly, treating burns, wounds, and exhaustion. Volunteers delivered water, food, and medicine to remote shelters. Children who had hidden in basements now returned to schools rebuilt with human ingenuity and determination. Though the battle had taken lives, it had also strengthened the bonds between people. Humanity had discovered that survival was not only about fighting, it was about caring, helping, and standing together. Commander Alara gathered her team in the rebuilt operations room. Screens displayed the remnants of the alien fleet drifting in space, a haunting reminder of the war. Yet, even as she reviewed the victory, she could not forget the lives lost. Soldiers who had fought bravely, civilians caught in the crossfire, families torn apart. Each memory weighed on her heart. "We remember them," she said quietly. Every life, every sacrifice. It was worth this moment, and we will honor them by protecting our world always. In orbit, the surviving warships were repaired and reinforced. Engineers worked tirelessly, ensuring that Earth would never again be caught off guard. Humanity had learned from the attack, and they were stronger for it. The galaxy had assumed that Earth was defenseless, but humans had proven otherwise. They had survived, and now they were ready for anything the universe might throw at them. Even the children understood the lessons of the battle. They played among the ruins, constructing makeshift toys from salvaged materials, imagining the future with hope instead of fear. Teachers told stories of bravery, sacrifice, and courage, planting seeds of resilience in the next generation. Humanity had endured the darkest hour and emerged not broken, but wiser, stronger, and united. Commander Alara looked out at the stars, reflecting on the cost of victory. She thought of the lives lost, the homes destroyed, and the pain that still lingered. Yet she also saw something more powerful, the unwavering spirit of a people who refused to be defeated. The galaxy will never forget this, she whispered. They will know that Earth is not just a planet, it is a force, and we are its heart. As night fell, Earth's cities glimmered with lights of recovery. Smoke still rose, but it was accompanied by the glow of rebuilding, of human ingenuity and hope. Humanity had survived not only as a species, but as a symbol of courage, resilience, and unbreakable spirit. The galaxy had underestimated them, and that mistake would never be repeated. Alara took a deep breath and smiled faintly. The war had ended, but the story of humanity's strength had only begun. They had faced annihilation and emerged victorious. They had endured pain, loss, and terror, and yet they had risen. Earth was alive, strong, and ready for the challenges ahead. And the galaxy would remember that lesson forever. Months had passed since the alien fleet had been shattered, yet the memory of the attacks lingered in every corner of Earth. Cities had been rebuilt, bridges restored, and new technologies emerged from the wreckage. Humanity had survived, but they had also evolved. They were no longer a hidden, insignificant planet. They were awake, united, and stronger than ever. Commander Alara stood atop the tallest tower in the rebuilt capital, gazing at the stars. She had watched her planet endure the impossible and emerge victorious. The scars of war were visible everywhere, but they told a story of courage, determination, and unbreakable spirit. She knew that the galaxy had underestimated humanity for centuries, but that mistake would never be repeated. Humanity had awakened. In orbit, Captain Joran watched the newly rebuilt fleet. Ships gleamed in the sunlight, each one a testament to human ingenuity. Pilots trained relentlessly, engineers refined every system, and soldiers remained vigilant. Earth was no longer defenseless. The galaxy had learned in the hardest way possible that every human heart was a weapon, every mind a strategist, and every person a force to be reckoned with. On the ground, life was returning to normal, yet it was different from before. Children played in open fields without fear. Families celebrated surviving together, and communities rebuilt stronger than ever. Humanity had faced annihilation and had refused to break. Every rebuilt street, every restored building, every smiling face was a declaration to the galaxy. Earth had endured, and humanity would never be underestimated again. Stories of heroism from the battle became legends. Soldiers who had sacrificed themselves were remembered in monuments and murals.
Civilians who had risked everything to save others were honored across cities.
Even ordinary acts of kindness during the war, sharing food, guiding strangers to safety, comforting frightened children, became a symbol of humanity's true strength. The galaxy had seen their wrath, but now it witnessed their heart. Alara walked through a rebuilt city square, stopping to watch a group of children launch small model rockets into the sky. Their laughter was a song of life, hope, and resilience. She smiled, realizing that humanity's victory was not just measured in destroyed enemy ships, but in the survival of spirit, courage, and unity. Humanity had fought for life itself and had won. The whispers in the galaxy grew louder. Alien civilizations, once arrogant and dismissive, now approached Earth with caution. They had seen what happened when they underestimated humans. They had seen the courage that refused to be broken, the ingenuity that outsmarted fleets, and the wrath that could destroy even the strongest invaders. Earth was no longer a small, hidden planet. It was a beacon of strength, a warning, and a symbol of what the human race could achieve. Commander Alara returned to the command tower as the sun rose over the horizon. Its golden light reflected off the towers, the rebuilt streets, and the proud faces of humanity. "They thought we would fall silently," she whispered to herself. "They thought we would beg for mercy. But we rose, we endured, we fought, and the galaxy will never forget the day Earth's wrath was unleashed." Captain Joran joined her, looking out at the horizon with quiet pride. "We survived because we fought together," he said softly. "Because we believed in each other. Because no matter the odds, we refused to give up." Ilara nodded. Humanity had not only survived, they had become something greater than any fleet, stronger than any weapon.